This is Monique with your Daily Sunshine. Let's talk about affairs of the hearts. Why the heart? Well, the reason why I was out of town last week was because my uncle was going in for heart stents. Just felt the need to be there to support my aunt, who's my mom's sister, um, while her husband went in for surgery. So, went down for the surgery. Okay, this was the plan. The plan was for him to have this heart stents placed, and if they saw anything, they would go and do, another procedure, which would have been the angiogram. And I think that's like a balloon or something to keep the arteries opened up. Well, when they got in there, it was a little bit more blockage than they had anticipated. So they kind of told him while he was in there, oh, yeah, by the way, you need bypass surgery. So they wheeled him back, and, he debriefed us about what was going on. And so we were like, oh, okay. And we were under the impression that he was able to go home. Not sure if you ever dealt with heart stents, but after the procedure, you have to lay flat. You can't move the leg where you had them placed, so you have to keep it straight for like 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. It just depends on the healthcare facility and what they say. So for him, it was 3 hours. But just before his time was up, we saw these. Well, it was two doctors and a PA, physician assistant. They come in and say, "Oh, I'm, Doctor So and So. I'm from, this department, and I can't get you on the schedule today, but I'll see you in the morning. I can do the bypass if you choose in the morning." He said, "You have a trip. We'll be doing a triple bypass," and we were like, "Wow." He said, "You're 95% blocked." Wow. So for my aunt and uncle, this had been a whirlwind. And that's why I say things can happen, go from 0 to 360 in a minute. And for them, it's been a 3-week period. What happened was he was up in the attic, he was doing a little something, got flustered, shortness of breath. He had an episode, and he got it to my aunt's attention. Meanwhile, he had a appointment with his primary care doctor, I think a few days later. So of course he in turn tells her, thank goodness. He relays the information, and so immediately she hooks him up to EKG. She didn't like the way that looked. She said, okay, go take the trust test. Didn't like the way that looked. And then things kind of escalated, and eventually he was scheduled for the heart stents. So even though it might have been a little thing, a small thing, because he was up in the attic, he got flustered, or, he had a little episode, thank goodness he took the time to make sure he followed up with this primary care doctor, and she was on top of it and was aggressive with the treatment to make sure that she was ruling everything out. And everything just came on board. He's out of ICU. He's on the road to recovery, but this is just one of the telltale signs of knowing your body, paying attention to it. And actually, over the weekend, I was with a young lady, and she was telling me she had a heart attack a couple of months ago, but she said her symptoms were different. She said what saved her was Dr. Oz. She said she had noticed on the program Dr. Oz had mentioned a couple of symptoms that you might have, and she said for her it was that the tingling on the edge of her fingers, and she had a sharp pain in her jaw. And she said all I wanted to do was go home and lay down. But since she had seen the Dr. Oz episode, she didn't. And when she finally got to the doctor, and she told the doctor that, the doctor said, if you had laid down, we would not be having this conversation. So it was just it's just very important to know your body, but to pay attention to it and then get the proper attention that it needs. But just to know, for women, it's a silent killer, and our symptoms, we're not symptomatic like the men are, and our symptoms may not be the same. And what the young lady was telling me was that it didn't show up on the EKG. It showed up that her enzymes were increasing once they took the blood test. So hopefully, if you're in this situation, if the doctor's not aggressive, you make sure you're asking everything that they can be done for you, that you're aggressive. Just keep asking different questions. Well, this, that, and the other, just making sure they're covering all your bases. This is Monique with your Daily Sunshine.